Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, the Lou D. Oh, double G. And today, I'm going to tell you 5 animes you should watch if you haven't started to watch any kinds of anime yet. A lot of people around the world today, including this huge spike in the United States, have been begun to watch anime, and it's kind of begun to integrate itself into pop culture. Not that it hasn't always been there, but I feel like in the last 10 years it's really spiked, and so there is a ton of anime to sit down and watch, and it might be difficult to kind of figure out, hey, where should I start? What are the kinds? What are the more iconic ones? And instead of looking at an article of some other big YouTuber content creator out there, you came here, and I want to thank you for that. So without further ado, we put together this list of animes using a criteria that, in my opinion, these are easy to watch. They have decent enough animation. They're easy to kind of listen to audibly. Some animes can be very jarring from the get-go, and the fan service is at a minimum. Because one of the main stereotypes of anime is that they tend to show a lot of boobies and butts and things of the sort, and there are plenty that do, and there are also plenty that don't, and there are also some that even go further past the line of fan service, right? And so this list, I hope, kind of meets that criteria, at least to you, if you do decide to watch these things. But at number one, and this is in no particular order, I don't think any of these are better than the others. Well, I have opinions about that, obviously, but in no particular order, I have the first one being Death Note. If you're not familiar with Death Note, if you literally search up on Google Death Note, I'm sure it's bound to pop up. I mean, it's one of the most iconic animes and mangas to ever come out. It has an insane cult following, and it happens to be one of the first animes that I watched, and I found that it was a very good introduction into anime. I watched this, of course, after Naruto, which we'll go over later, but Death Note has a lot of mystery to it. There's the detective type mystery to it, and I find that it can be a little jarring at times with the deaths and things that happen within the story, right? And without giving too much away, there's two main characters, Light and L, who both are at odds with each other. They're both amazing detectives and are essentially trying to figure out who one another are. Light, this is the first episode, so not really a spoiler, gets his hand on a death note, which allows him the ability to write somebody's name down and kill them, essentially. And so the whole story revolves around L trying to find out who Kira is, right, which is Light. So if you're into mysteries, you're into a smidge of horror, and if you're into an amount of gore, this could be the anime for you. And it's only 37 episodes long, so that is a very quick and nice, easy thing to watch. I found myself with my heart racing throughout this anime when I first watched it, and I hope that you enjoy it too. It also has an extensive amount of, dare I say, Wattpad fanfiction. Don't ask me how I know that. So there are plenty of people out there who also have high opinions for this anime, so if you are interested, and also it's a great manga. I do own the manga as well, and the art style is amazing. There's a lot of iconic things out of it, so if you're interested, please go watch Death Note. Another one on the totally opposite end of the spectrum is Spy Family, and now this is a more recent one. This one came out in 2021 is when the season 1 first aired, around there, whereas Death Note aired in 2007, I believe. Spy Family revolves around this family, if that was not clear, who the father of this family is a spy, and so Lloyd is his name. He is one of the best spies in the world, and he has come to a country. I'm trying really hard not to spoil things here. He comes to the opposing country to try and gather intel and things like that. And in order to hide in plain sight, he needs to have a family, and so he he marries a woman who is also an assassin, and she doesn't know that he's a spy, and so they end up adopting a daughter who can read minds, but they don't know that, and so there's this whole funny triangular secretive information that's going on here, which allows for very comedic moments. And so this is an anime that is incredibly comedic. It's just downright silly, and it only has 2 seasons out, and so it's a pretty easy watch, clocking in at around 40-ish episodes. So if that's something that you just want to sit down with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, turn on the TV and be like, let's just giggle, let's just have fun, let's play on our switches while this is in the background, and that is, I mean, it's the perfect anime for that. It's everything always ends up working out at the end of the episode, right? There's a larger story for sure, but it does have a lot of comedic elements, which is not the same as Death Note. Moving on to the next one. In this world of Marvel and superheroes, we tend to want to find things that we are familiar with, and this next anime, I think, kind of helps fill the void if you're looking for superhero-esque things. And this anime is called My Hero Academia. Now, this one kind of starts to lean a little more into fan servicey things, and this is a shonen manga. If you're not familiar with Shonen Jump is the magazine that produces all the manga. That's My Hero, and that's Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece. So this is kind of part of those that like bigger overarching company there. But My Hero does have an amount of fan service that you may have to stomach, especially at the get go there. And the other thing you might also have to stomach is the main character kind of is a little bit whiny at the get go as well. Now, I found it very easy to kind of get past it, but I can say like he is pretty annoying. But one of the biggest reasons you watch this show is for the world building, right? And the sound effects and the music and things like that. I found myself while watching this wanting to get up and cheer, right? Because I'm like, oh my god, this fight is amazing. I'm all for this person beating this other person, and so yeah, it's a battle anime. They tend to battle a lot. It has one of the best tournament arcs in all of anime, just in the second season, and it's not done. The manga also isn't done as well, so it's ongoing. There's about 5-6 seasons out at this point. Which sounds like a lot, but the first season's only like 10 episodes, and then it does increase from there. So, once again, if you love Marvel, you love DC, you love the superhero ideals, right? The whole superhero world kind of thing, My Hero might be the anime for you. It also has wonderful animation. There are, of course, like everything else, the good and bad episodes, but for the most part, it clocks in for me at around, an 8 out of 10 where it is right now. I have some of my favorite characters in the show are my favorite characters in all of anime. I'm gonna show you my phone right now. My phone is in fact a phone case of Deku looking at All Might. My Hero is essentially about this boy who isn't born with powers like everybody else, and the big main number one hero is on his way to give he's on his way to give his power to somebody else, and then instead our main character does something which convinces him to give him his power instead, which happens to be like the most overpowered power in existence. And so you're going through the show, and our main character is essentially learning how to use these powers without hurting himself too much or the people around him. So once again, if that's something that interests you, you like DC comics and things like that, this might be the anime to kind of scratch that itch for you. And moving on to number 4, our fourth anime here, and now this is another really big one that you might have heard of. I read an article once, and I can't quite remember the name of this article, that called "Attack on Titan: Japan's Game of Thrones." So you have probably seen something about it somewhere, right? It became really, really big here in the United States, as well as probably around the world, if I had to guess. Attack on Titan is a really, really good anime, and it is over, and I'm trying to find the words here without giving you a full opinion about this show, but I do think it's worth the watch because you find yourself really loving or hating things, and I think that this is one of those animes that A, doesn't have a lot of fan service, right? But B, keeps you really, really engaged and really, really into something. Like, I equate it, and the article's correct, I equate it to the way that we watch Game of Thrones. And if you didn't watch Game of Thrones, there are plenty of other examples that I could give here, but essentially you just find yourself really rooting for or against characters, and the story and the world building is just absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite characters of all time is also in Attack on Titan, and so if that's something that interests you, I would totally sit down and watch it. Attack on Titan is essentially about this boy in this world in which titans, really big creatures, go and attack people, and they eat people, and they live behind these walls. And so one way or another, a big powerful titan crashes through the walls, which allows a lot of other titans to come in. And so then, I won't spoil too much, but as you move through the story, you kind of figure out why and what and how can people become titans and things like that. So if that's something that sounds like that might interest you, oh, and there's a lot of gore in that, right? So if that sounds like something that may interest you, feel free to check that bad boy out. Another anime that I think you should watch, and this is number 5. This is 5 on the list again, no particular order. This anime happens to be one of my favorite of all time, and that's Naruto. So Naruto has 2 animes technically, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. I'm talking about the show as a whole here. There's like 800 episodes, and don't let that scare you, because about 40% of that, maybe even 60, is just filler that you can skip through. So that does still mean there's hundreds of episodes for you to watch in both, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. However, that does kind of give you a good introduction into something like One Piece, right? Or something like Fairy Tail, or something that has a ton of episodes and is super, super like anime tropey, if that makes any kind of sense. It just gives you a really good introduction to that. And Naruto happens to be one of those that a lot of other creators have kind of helped model their things after, right? And I think it does a really good job of explaining the power systems there, your chakra and your chakra natures and sage mode and things like that. Like it's one of those that I think is so simple that it works very, very well. And then when you get to like Hunter x Hunter, or if you get to Jujutsu Kaisen, or you get to like One Piece, which is also pretty simple, it kind of helps you understand what those power systems are like. But Naruto is one you can absolutely dive super, super deep on and hyper fixate on if that's something that interests you. So Naruto is essentially about a boy who parents have passed away, and he has something inside of him called the Nine Tails Fox, and it's a chakra beast, I guess you could say. I don't want to give away too many things without. I'm trying not to spoil here, but essentially, he throughout his life is trying to learn how to harness his power and use it, and so throughout the show, he has a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and that's something, if that like remotely sounds interesting to you, feel free to go. And also, they're ninjas are pretty freaking cool. So that's my 5th anime to tell you to watch. Some honorable mentions are Way of the House Husband, another goofy funny anime that I think could be really, really, really fun for you to watch. And One Punch Man. One Punch Man is not only goofy, but it's also a battle anime. Anyways, see ya.